Hello everyone, this is Witchy Words, the podcast about the manga and hopefully anime Majo Taisen, also known as the War of Greedy Witches. Now before I go into this week's episode, I kinda wanted to make some clarifications about a sort of misstep I had, a little misunderstanding or mistake I made in the first episode. So in this series, if they're referred to as a witch, it doesn't mean they are like a magical witch. It just means that they desire something. So Joan of Arc, she desires to desire. That's her desire. She wants to feel drive. She wants to feel driven to get and accomplish something, which honestly is still kind of a really weird wish, to wish that you wanted to wish for something, because then you've already used your wish and you can't use your wish anymore. You could wish for anything. She could have wished for a pizza, but I guess it's her choice. If she wins, it's her mistake to make, I guess. But now we're going into the first battle of the manga. It's Tomoe Gozen versus Countess Elizabeth Bathory. Also, Li Lim and Lilin are interchangeable. Pretty much all the demons that are not Agrat Bat Malat are kind of just different translations of the name Lilith. And, you know, we all know Lilith. Speaking of which, we got Lilitu, a new demon. She is our announcer, so good for her. She's going to be guiding us on this incredible journey fight tournament. I don't know if she's going to be better than Heimdall, but she is definitely cuter. Joan of Arc is watching the match, and first to enter is Countess Elizabeth Bathory. Maybe I'll make a video explaining the backstory of every single witch, but at the end of the day, pretty much what you need to know is Countess Elizabeth Bathory was a prolific torture serial killer, if the documents are to be believed. It's kind of hard at this point to know for sure because it happened so long ago. There's not really much solid evidence to look over the case again, and there have been people proclaiming she is innocent. But, I mean, at the very least, we do have documentation that she was very, very cruel, and she was not nice to her servants at all. She is the Witch of Blood, which, honestly, understandable. If I'm recalling the real-world documents correctly, what happened was one of the witnesses described being, I believe, ankle deep in just piles of gore and blood when they found her torture chamber. So yeah, Witch of Blood. That's a fair assessment. We are then given a crash course in the Heian era, where our next combatant, Tomoe Gozen, hails from. I must say, I do love the illustration of each character getting their own page dedicated to themselves. That's something I prefer, personally, over Record of Ragnarok, because Record of Ragnarok, characters get their own panels and their own nameplates, and I like the idea of a nameplate, but I much prefer them get their own full page dedicated to themselves. Just like one full page panel of their entire body, their entire design. And then if they had a nameplate, that'd be cool, but hey, that's just me being a little nitpicky bitch. Tomoe Gozen then wants to find out what Elizabeth Bathory's desire is, and she wants to torment people. Is anyone really surprised by that fact? Tomoe Gozen then gets into her combat gear, and Agrat Bat Malat explains that there is two factors to sort of a witch's abilities. There's magic, and then there is their magic vestments, which is pretty much their combat gear. Elizabeth Bathory then gears up, and she is armed with a really weird-looking spiky stick spear thingy. They sort of clash in the middle, but ultimately Tomoe Gozen overpowers Bathory and kicks her down. But in the process, Elizabeth Bathory has yanked out one of Tome's fingernails, which is saying that just, that's hard, man. that's painful. So essentially, Bathory's plan is to whittle Tomoe Gozen down until she is just in too much pain, cannot fight back, and just torture her to death, pretty much. She then pulls out cat claws, slashes Tomoe Gozen with it, and then uses the Cat of Nine Tails and can pretty much bombards Tomoe Gozen with it. Tomoe Gozen right now is on the defense, while Elizabeth Bathory has seemingly an endless supply of torture weapons to fight against Tomoe Gozen with. Despite enduring a lot of torturous tools, Tomoe Gozen is not fazed, saying that, they fight to the very last breath. If you lose your arms, you kick. If you lose your legs, you bite. If you lose your head, you curse to death. Pretty much saying, hey, doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going. This is nothing to me. What happens is that we see a little bit of Tomoe's backstory, and she kind of just talks about, she's pretty much just the strongest. She became the strongest not because of how she was raised or where she came from, simply because she was just that strong and powerful against her opponents, and that she could pretty much beat anybody, and slices Elizabeth Bathory right across the gut, right across the midsection, does a clean swipe. And realizing she's losing, Elizabeth Bathory kind of goes crazy and goes, I guess, evil Super Saiyan, and we are then introduced to kind of her backstory about how she likes breaking people apart and all that good stuff. In her backstory in the manga, pretty different from her backstory in real life. In this one, she accidentally kills a beautiful maid and finds that she really likes killing beautiful women, which is not okay. I mean, we all have our hobbies, but no, you shouldn't do that. But snapping back to the arena, Elizabeth Bathory's sort of Super Saiyan transformation has turned the arena into her own torture chamber. She calls it the Red Playroom. So there's a giant Iron Maiden there, and there's just countless torture weapons floating in the air. Just at any weapon, pretty much, Bathory can use. Tomoe Gozen is able to dodge Bathory's first attack, but Bathory kind of has this telekinesis ability where she can launch these weapons from the sky, and Tomoe Gozen is overwhelmed, and Bathory gets in a really good stab right below, sort of right in the middle, in between Tomoe Gozen's chest and her stomach, just sort of that midsection, and just spears right through. And then Tomoe Gozen is sort of bound and chained up, and Bathory talks about how she's finally got her. Bathory then begins to torture Tomoe Gozen by stabbing her in the leg with a spear, and they go on and talk about how powerful the magic and desire really is. But Tomoe Gozen's lord, Minamoto Yoshinaka, he isn't fazed. He knows that her might is her most powerful weapon, and with that might, she breaks out of the bonds and throws one of the wood pikes at Bathory. A really cool counter, but ultimately, Bathory dodges it. Bathory is backed into a corner, but escapes it by manifesting wooden pikes that completely surround Tomoe Gozen, kind of just putting her in a cage. And then this manga does something that makes me so happy. It makes me so happy! Because this manga is saying, oh, well, Elizabeth is superior at range. She is the superior one at a distance. So, Tomoe Gozen, she has to come in close, and now that she's not able to fight close, it's gonna be over for her. And then they're like, no, that's not how samurai fight. I mean, yes, samurai did, of course, they did have swords, but they ultimately were archers. Honestly, when the Mongolians attempted to invade Japan had very similar styles. They were both horseback archers. Samurai were very, very skilled archers. It's how most of them really fought. And so Tomoe Gozen, she summons a bow. And get a load of this name. Mighty Magic Calamity Severing Skybow. The Mighty Magic Calamity Severing Skybow. That's a crazy name. And then we flash back to Joan of Arc, who essentially sort of is struggling. She feels something in her heart. She's seeing all of these other women desire things, and it's making her desire things. She's desiring more desire, and she's full of the desire. That's pretty much what happens, and she sort of starts to gain her power, and we see a little bit of Joan of Arc's backstory. But swapping back to the fight, Bathory got a big old hole in her head. Or not in her head. It's on the side of her body. Her right arm is completely gone. But Elizabeth Bathory is not done. Despite her losing an arm, she summons like these hot plates, these grills, and sears her wound shut. And like, oh my god. She cauterizes her own wound and then brings all of her weapons together to summon this big pile of dangerous weapons. And after a bit of Tomoe Gozen's backstory, where she wants to conquer evil and bring justice to the world, it's sort of decided that this will be the final attack. It will be all of Elizabeth Bathory's weapons against one of Tomoe Gozen's powerful arrows. It is the red screen versus the second arrow of the compound bow of calamities. And, well, Bathory gets fucking skewered. She asks Tomoe if she's beautiful. Tomoe's like, yeah, sure. And then Bathory smiles, and then the upper half of her body disappears. Then the rest of her vanishes, and she is completely evaporated. And the fight is over. It is Tomoe Gozen versus Elizabeth Bathory. So, first fight was not bad. I enjoyed it. Personally, I think Bathory is a more interesting character. I would have liked her to stick around more and to have won this match, but, you know, it is what it is. I did like how there were some twists and turns in this battle, similar to Record of Ragnarok, where it's like, oh wow, like, we thought Bathory was down, and then she used the grills on her. We thought Bathory was hit hard at first, but was able to take a fingernail, showing her ability. I think, I don't know, with this fight, what made it so different was it was difficult for me to sort of see it as going one way or the other. It sort of seemed pretty lopsided towards Tomoe most of the time. Pretty confident that she was going to win. I mean, I don't know, there weren't many moments where it was like, whoa, Elizabeth Bathory is about to win. There weren't moments like that where I thought it was over, and then, you know, it changed the script, it flipped the tables. It just, I don't know, it seemed more of a one-sided fight to me personally. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below. This has been Witchy Words. Thank you so much for listening.